going to North with me? Very nice.
We'll go to Abba.
Oh, that's very nice.
All right, we ready to roll?
I'm going away the next 2 weeks.
Do it.
Company? Abba.
Okay, we're on the bottom of Daf Ayin Amud Beis.
My old company flying so Kevin.
Naftali Liner is here live and in person in case anybody's wondering where he is.
Oh, we were nervous.
Just say, if anybody wants to give him the line or whatever, he's here.
There's a better chance of Naftali Landau getting lost in the snow than Naftali Liner.
True. True, yes.
Great.
It's not very nice.
Yeah. Okay.
So where are
We
we?
ready? We are on Ayin Amud Beis. 4 lines up. Jesse, is this you using your Gemara or somebody else's Gemara, Jesse?
Nope, this is mine.
Let's see, we're up to number 32.
Oh, Landau's here. Officer bottom is over.
We're on a roll tonight, man.
Yeah, exactly. Whose bright idea was that last night?
No, they're making fun.
What? Yeah.
Thank you for your.
Okay.
shopping.
My pleasure.
So 4 lines up, yeah?
You got
From the bottom, Ayin Amud Beis. Amar Ula. Amar Rebbe Eliezer. So there's going to be 2 members b'shem Rebbe Eliezer, the exact opposites.
You were waiting for me?
Yeah, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
sure. Okay.
Yeah. So Amar Ula, Amar Rebbe Eliezer. Shlamim sheshachtan meir of Yom Tif, eina yotze ben, lo mishum simcha v'lo mishum chagiga. Right. So we said that there's a couple of different korbanos. 4 lines up from the bottom, Ayin Amud Beis.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 2 different korbanos. There's the Shalmei Simcha and the Shalmei Chagiga. So Ula says b'shem Rebbe Eliezer, that the Shlomim, if you shech the Shlomim on Erev Yom Tif, you're not Yotze, not for Simcha, not for Chagiga. Why not? Mishum Simcha. What do you say?
In this shita, I'm sorry, I can't. In this shita, today, all the hack about eating meat for Simchas Yom Tov was completely out the window.
Because why? Because it has to do with the Korban.
Even with the Korban Shlomim, you're not Yotze Simchas Yom Tov.
Right. It needs to be done on the day. Right. Yeah.
I would l'chayra argue that even according to those Tanoim that hold you are Yotze Simchas Yom Tov. Today, they would say you're definitely not.
Are you talking about Bisman Azeh? Does he really?
Yeah.
This Bisman Azeh? Only Yayin. There's no bus. You don't get Simcha from bus. It's only Yayin.
And what was the yayin back then?
We're going to see in the Gemara of Aleph. We'll get to in the
It's
Gemara.
Yayin.
Yeah.
It's not bus now. It's Yayin.
Yeah, and a Chanami, it's a big tumult in the Paiskim, right? Bisman Hazeh, what does it mean that there's a, right? It's and the Yayin, everybody's makbid on the bus, or the Yayin, the oil is not makbid on.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, some people are too makbid. It's either all or nothing, it seems, right? But yeah, and a Chanami. So let's see.
That's why you. So
Yeah.
Yaakov, you told us from Belashev had a Yayin by every Suda.
I think I don't know. I think, I think so. Yeah, that's okay.
So,
So,
you're supposed to have, yeah, right?
yeah. So Mishum Simcha, why you not Yotze Simcha? The Sifas Avachta, Visavachta, Visamachta. Binyan Zvicha B'Shas Simcha, right? We're on Amud Aleph, right? You need to have a Korban B'Shas Simcha. V'lekan, you don't have that, right? Because the Korban was not brought at the time of the Simcha. It was brought on Erev Yom Tiv, right? And the Simcha is not on Erev Yom Tiv. The Simcha is on Yom Tiv, right? Mishum Chagiga Habi Davar Shebechayva. And Chagiga is a davar shebechayva. V'chol davar shebechayva ein bo elam min chulin. And anything that's a chiyuv only is brought from chulin, right? Meaning it's a chiyuv to bring a korban chagiga. How can you bring that? How can you be yotze your korban chagiga if it's unless it's brought with chulin? And here it's not being brought with chulin, right? And yeah, so on the one for the tesvav, so that's a chiyuv. Right, so therefore you cannot be yotze that chiyuv with any kachim. It has to be mamish coming from chulin, right? Which is what we paskin lamaisa from ma'aser ksafim. That's the practical application of this, right? The ma'aser ksafim, right? When you have ma'aser, you're not allowed to use ma'aser for something that's a chiyuv. You can only use ma'aser for things that are mitzvahs, but not a chiyuv. Like you can't use your ma'aser for tefillin, you can't use your ma'aser for lulav, esrog, matzahs. even though they're mitzvahs, but they're chiyuvim, right? But if you want to use it to
Hey, schar limud.
schar limud, right? Schar limud is also chiyuv, depending on what age.
And what
Right.
if it's a girl or boy?
Girl also is a girl. The Ramesha paskins that a girl is a chiyuv also, so you can't use ma'aser, right? But something that's voluntary, like giving to aniyim or whatever it is. Well, aniyim is the real ma'aser, but no, a mitzvah would be donating to a yeshiva building fund, right? So then that's a mitzvah, but it's not a chiyuv. There you go, Zev. There you go. Give you a plug.
I knew that was coming.
Okay, so Lema.
I'm not sure whether he'd rather you have said it was a chiyuv or not.
Okay, I'm
I
not,
don't, I don't know if people would actually listen to him anyway.
okay. True. Rightfully so. But anyway,
No,
so
chas v'chalila, chas v'chalila.
let's say we have a brisa that proves this. But Yisach Sameach, right? I'm sure everybody's familiar with that. But song of the daf, parrots. Yeah, but Yisach Sameach. The rabbis, I mean, what for this daf, really, what we should do, the proper way to learn this daf is we got to take out a good couple of parshias of psukim and read them and learn them together first. That would be a way to understand the daf. But we're not doing that. So it says, and you will be sameach, right? The rabbis, well, that's an extra simcha because the pasuk before that also talks about simcha. So the rabbis lel yom tov achar in the simcha. It's coming to include Shmini Atzeres, that you have a Chi of Simcha for Shmini Atzeres too, which, as we know, yeshivas take the Simcha of Yayin by Shmini Atzeres and go a little, even Simcha's Torah, right? They go overboard with it. Right, but whatever it is, does it come to tell you that there needs to be Simcha on the last day Yom Tov, or maybe it's the first day Yom Tov? Right? Ach chalak, ach. How do you say it, Gershon? Ah, chalek.
Chalek.
I'm sorry. Ah, chalek. Okay, I'm trying. Okay. Ah, chalek. Right. Ah. How does the article have it?
Ah, chilek.
Chilek.
Yeah. Unless
Article as chilek.
They you do the chilek is past tense. Chalek is present.
Okay, whatever it is. Either way,
I would argue that Archko got it wrong.
Okay, but I would say that the yeshivish way of saying it, I think that's the way I say it. Acholak is definitely wrong.
Chalak means smooth.
Yes, correct. There you go.
Chalek means it separates. Chilek means it's separated.
I thought chalek would mean you should separate it.
No, chalek. Ach separates it.
Okay, whatever it is, it's not acholak, right? It's ach chalek or achilek. What was the article? Okay, we're trying. Okay, achilek. Meaning, so the word ach splits it up. My time, so what? Meaning, why is it that we're saying that it's the 8th day and not the first day? Because the ein loy b'ma yismach. Because on the first night, you have no carbon to. What carbon? Right? If you go with Rebbe Eliezer, Ula b'shem Rebbe Eliezer, so your carbon for Simcha doesn't happen till the first day, right? So therefore, the first night has no carbon. So it's a proof. So we say, so we answer, no, it's not a proof. Who says that you should include the last day of Yom Tov, Shmini Atzeres, and exclude the first night Yom Tov? Let me include the first day and exclude the last day. Just parenthetically, those that eat milchik sudas on Yom Tov, I don't know if this is the source for it or not, but they say if you're going to eat a milchik suda on Yom Tov, it should be the night suda, because there's less of a chi of simcha on the night suda than the day suda, right? Because the night suda for this, I think this is the makar. Right, because there's no simcha with the carbon. I don't know if this is the makar, but it's certainly a makar, right? Because you don't have the simcha till the day, till the carbon is brought. So the first night you could eat the milchiks because there's no chi of simcha. Okay. Anyways, so Masav Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef asked the kasha chagigus aros.
There's a minig Yisrael Torah on Shavuos. It brings that the first night Shavuos is a minig. These sheminig apparently feed milchig. That's the milchig in Suda. It says because Shavuos, you have a siyum of a mitzvah. Of
Right.
Omer. After siyum, you make a sudas mitzvah. But if you made the fleshigas sudas mitzvah, it would be unrecognizable from Yom Tov. So Mamela, you make a milchig suda to show that it's besides for Yom Tov.
Oh yeah, I never heard that. Interesting. I hear. I
That
think
would,
this. Yeah, what are you saying?
Gershon, excuse me, that would be good, Gershon, because by Purim, the Magen Avram says the first night you should have a milchik suda. You should not eat
Right.
flesh. So otherwise, you won't recognize the Suda's Purim the next day, the B'ikib Suda. So he says the
Very
first
good.
night after Tiny
Yeah.
you should have. That's what Magen Avram said. That's all for the Magen Avram.
And
That's very good.
The
It
Magen
stimms, it
Avram's
stimms.
milchig gechala is brought in Basa B'chalav, no? That's the milchig gechala in Halacha, no? Yaakov.
Yeah.
They bring
No,
the
it
milchig
fits. It's very
gechala from
good. It
Purim.
stimms. Yeah.
They don't
Right.
bring Shavuos. In Basa B'chalav, it brings Purim, not Shavuos.
So I don't remember. Yeah, is that what it said? Yeah.
I
But either
think
way,
so,
we had the
yeah.
Gemara from last week that Shavuos and
Right,
Purim
right.
and Erev Yom Kippur, right? So everything stimms. Very good. Okay. So Masav Rav Yosef Chagigas Arba also Yotzeb Mishum Simcha Vein Yotzeb Mishum Chagiga. The Chagiga of Arba also of the 14th, right? That's the Chagiga you're bringing to supplement the Korban Pesach. When you don't have enough meat from the Korban Pesach, you bring an extra Korban Chagiga to supplement the meat, right? Vein Yotzeb Mishum Chagiga, and you're not Yotzeb Chagiga. Amai Habayidin Zvicha B'Shas Simcha V'Leka. He's saying he's saying you Yotzeb for Simcha, but you don't have it B'Shas Zvicha. Amar Ravidi B'Ravin Sheike V'Shacht. It's talking about where you pushed off and you didn't shecht it till the 15th. Since it was shechted on the 15th, then it's allowed. So Amar Rav Ashi Hachanav Mistaber. That's also a sort of Diloi Tema Hachi. If you're not going to say this, Hamas Nisan Man Katanila, who's the author of this Mishnah? Ben Tema, right? That's Ben Tema from yesterday, who equates the Korban Pesach with the Chagiga. Ben Tema HaPassul Belina. But Ben Tema holds it has the same din as the Korban Pesach, so therefore it can't last till Tesvav, right? It couldn't be Yudalid and then you're getting the Simcha because you wouldn't be able to have it. It's also Belina as the same din as the Korban Pesach. Shema Mina. So therefore, it's talking about on the 15th and it has no shaychus. So there's no proof.
What exactly makes it a Chagigas Yudalid then?
What?
How is it a Chagigas Yudalid?
Yeah, so I was wondering that myself. How is that a Chagigas Yudalit if it's being shechted on the 15th?
You could bring it
Yeah.
on the 14th, no?
No, it says it. They didn't bring it. They were ma'akiv it and they pushed it off to the 15th.
Well, you could bring it on the 14th.
No,
No, but
but
I think-
Chagigas Yudalid is only supplemental to the Korban Talmud, to the Korban Pesach. If you bring it on the 15th, it has nothing to do. It's a regular Chagiga now.
Right. I'm not sure. I was wondering that. I thought maybe they'd bring it at night. No, it can't be they brought it at night. Right. You can't. So I don't know. I wasn't sure about that. Okay, so let's see. There's a Masav Rava. Halal v'Simcha Shmoina. Halal and Simcha is 8 days. And if you say that you need a Korban b'shas Simcha, Hazim and Sagin, there's many times. You're not going to find Simcha that is 7 days. 8 days, I'm sorry. Ela Shiva. Right? Because we know that Korban is not Doicha Shabbos. So you're not going to always find Simcha for 8 days. You may find Simcha only for 7 days. So Rav Huna Breder Rav Yehuda mesamchay b'seirei haraglayim. No, you're going to be haragolim. Sorry, you're going to become happy with the seir of the regalim because every day they brought a Korban on Sukkot. Every day they brought a Korban as a Korban sibur, and they're going to get the simcha from that. So there's an obvious question on that which Rava asks. So Rava, shtei tshuvas b'davar. There's two questions on this. Chada the seirei haragolim. They're eaten raw because it's Shabbos, so you can't roast it. So it's eaten raw, and it can't be eaten roasted. The simcha b'chai leka. There's no simcha with raw meat, right? So how could it be that they were yaitze with their simcha with that? The kahanim eat that korban, not the Yisraelim. So how can you say that the Yisraelim are going to be yaitze? Their simcha with that.
Why couldn't they boil it?
Shabbos. It was on Shabbos. You can't.
You have to eat raw meat?
If you hold it, you don't have to. If you hold it, you're going to eat that meat on. It's on Yom Tov. It's Shabbos, so therefore it has to be raw, right? Which you're not going to be able to use simcha with that. Which maybe beef jerky. I don't know. I guess I don't know. You can dry it out.
So
I don't
why
know.
did they come up with it? You can't roast it. Like it's because it's
It's
Pesach.
Shabbos.
It's Shabbos because it's Shabbos.
So nothing to do with roasting a Pesach.
Nothing to do with no,
Oh,
nothing
that's
to do
why I
with
got
that. No,
confused.
nothing to do with that. Ela Amar Rav, Papa Mesamcha b'ksus
Rav
nikiya
Yaakov, we had a
v'yayin
different Gemara where the Kahana made the raw meat. We had it was a Toisus, it was a
Right.
Gemara.
Well, most of the meat. What are you talking about? Because most of the meat is raw because they didn't have time to cook to roast it. To
I
cook
don't
it.
remember. Yeah, we
Yeah.
had one. We had one. So.
Yeah. So Ela Amar Rav, Papa Mesamcha b'ksus nikiya v'yayin yashan. There you go. Right. So the simcha is with clean clothing, which I don't know. That's not such a simcha to me. But v'yayin yashan is old wine. That's how they were. Yaitze the chi of simcha. Fine. That's
Them are coated by clothing.
Clean clothing.
Yeah. yeah. It's you have clean clothing. Yeah.
Does clean clothing mean eat a suda without kids?
Maybe.
That
Yeah.
would be simcha.
L'chayra. Yes. Fine. So that's one version. Now we're going to have a different version, Rabbi Eliezer, the total opposite. Kiyasa Ravin Omer Rabbi Eliezer, Shlomim sheshachtam erev Yom Tov yaitze b'yamishum simcha. Right. The first version said that the shlomim that you shechted for erev Yom Tov, you are not yaitze. Here it's saying the shlomim that you shechted on erev Yom Tov, you are yaitze simcha. Vein yaitze b'yamishum chagiga, and you're not yaitze chagiga. Now why? Yaitze b'yamishum simcha. You yaitze because of simcha leibin and zvicha b'shas simcha, because he holds you don't need the korban to be shechted at the time of the simcha, as long as you're eating meat, which is the way we paskin be'etzem, like this. So that's where you get that maybe meat bisman as it is, right? You don't need to shecht the korban when there's simcha, v'loy mishum chagiga, and not because of chagiga, because avi davar shabachayva v'chol davar shabachayva ain't ba'elam menachulin, because the chagiga is a chiyuv, and anything that's a chiyuv can only come from chulin. Now we're going to ask all the kashas, but in the opposite direction. So meisvei.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was thinking about the Susnakia, like we talk about making, what does that mean? But maybe, as we're talking about Pesach, right? So the guy bought a new suit and he went to the Migdash Erev Pesach to shech the korban. He came back looking like Asher Blotta. There was 1 million people there with sheep running all over the place and everybody jumping around. So he came back with rags. He bought a Briani suit. So when he put on a new suit for the Seder, then it was Taka Simcha, because
Right. Okay.
his wife was screaming at him. He ruined the first suit at the Migdash, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that the opposite of Rav Hutner, no? Like Kiddush, the spilled, no?
Yeah.
Wasn't that Rav Hutner?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so Meisvei, Vayisach Sameach, L'Rabbi Yisrael Yom Tov Acharon, L'Simcha. It's coming to include Shmini Atzeres L'Simcha. Atomer L'Rabbi Yisrael Yom Tov Acharon, Vayena L'Rabbi Yisrael Yom Tov Rishon. Which one's it coming to include? The first day or the last day? Tamalemer Ach Chalek, the covered Gershon. There you go. Right? So my timer, Lav Mishum, the Ein Lebemai Yismach, isn't it because he has nothing to be happy with the first day? There's no korban yet. The first night Yom Tov, there's no korban. So we say, like the Tanya Mari Isal Rabbi Sel Yom Tov Acharon Loitzi Yom Tov Rishon. What do you see to include the last night Yom Tov and to exclude the first night? Marbani Lele Yom Tov Acharon. I'm going to include the last night Sheyesh Simcha Lefanov because it has Simcha before it. It has 7 days of Sukkot leading up to it. Umayseni Lele Yom Tov Rishon Shein Simcha Lefanov. And it comes to exclude Lel Yom Tov Rishon that there is no Simcha in front of it. So Rav Kahana. Fine. So now, okay, so I'm sorry, I jumped that. So that's it. So those are the two versions of the Gemara. Fine. Now the Gemara starts with a whole new sugya, is when the emurin brought, or till when can they be brought? So how do we know that the emurin of the chagig of the 15th day, Shen of Solon Belina, that if you leave it overnight, it becomes passul. Which is pasuk that we had many times. You cannot leave the chaylev of my chagig until the morning. And then it says rashis, which means first, right? So that's talking about to bring the bikurim, right? So therefore, the Gemara is going to say, so the first has to do with the first day, meaning you have to have it already burned by the first day. So Gemara says, "L'meir the high biker rishon." Do you mean to say that the first day is referring to the first morning of Yom Tiv, right? So Maskol or Yosef, time of the cost of Rashis. The reason is because it says Rashis, meaning the beginning, the first. If it wouldn't say the word rashis, you would think that it means the second morning. So Gemara says, Mi kamidi, is it possible? Mi kamidi, the basar ifsale me'orta ve'emurin at safra. Is it possible that the basar is going to be already passul at night, and the emurin is going to be good till the morning? Meaning, normally the emurin are the ones that expire first. Emurin, which is the fats and all that stuff that doesn't get eaten from the korban, usually has to be burned by overnight, right? And then you have another day to eat the korban, because most korbanos is 2 days and 1 night. But here it's going to end up being the opposite. If you're going to say the emurin is to the second morning, and the korban only gets to the first morning, so then it ends up being that the emurin have a longer shelf life than the actual basar, which can't be. So then Abaya says back, Amalei Abaya, Alama loy, why not? Very pesach, Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, right? We know Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah's shita, Bez Hashem, we'll get to in another month or so. The basar ifsalei mechatzos, that you have to eat the korban pesach from chatzos, right? Which is what we paskin, hence the rush to get it done, to get the afikoyman before chatzos, right? The emurin not safra, and the emurin go to the morning. So you see, by pesach by night, the emurin have a longer shelf life than the korban pesach. I mean, the korban pesach, according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, has to be finished by chatzos. But the fats and all that don't have to be burned until the morning. So you see that the emurin go longer than the eating. So
Isn't that the original Kedai Hayir Shimon L'Smeichalav? The chatzos really means until Alois. The chatzos
Right.
was a gather.
Yes, I understand. So what are you saying?
It's not passul after chatzos.
Well, no, you're supposed to finish it by chatzos according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah. Whether it's a gather or it's not, but lamaisa, you got to finish it before chatzos. No?
Shemei Chai says if you didn't do it, you're still mechuyev to
Right.
eat.
Yes, that's true. That you make the Tanai, right? That's Avnei Nez's Tanai. That's where that whole thing comes in.
Well, that's the kasha on the Tanai. Why do you even need the Tanai? Even according
Okay,
to
that's a
Rosh
different
Nazariah.
story. Yeah, okay, we'll see Bez Hashem, and when we get to Arvei Pesachim. So anyway,
Oh,
so
it's the
Amar
first Mishnah in
Rava,
Brachas.
well, that's true, yeah. So Amar Rava, Rabbi Yosef, Hachi Kashali. So okay, so that wasn't the kasha. This is Rabbi Yosef's kasha. Mi kamidi, is it possible? The ilu tunnel basar loy boy rachis. That if it would say basar, then I wouldn't need the word rachis, right? The Rav Kahana leimurin boy rachis, and Rav Kahana for the emurin does need the word rachis. Ma'hi, what does he mean? The Tanya, and here also the psukim would help. Lo yolim in abasar asher tizbach be'erev yom rishon laboiker. You should not leave over from the basar that you order as a korban in the evening, the yom rishon, in the first day laboiker to the morning. Now we're on Talmud Beis. Limid, this teaches us achagigos yudalit shanechelas l'shnei yomim v'layla echad. Teaches us that the chagigas yudalit, which is the supplemental, the one to the korban pesach, is eaten for 2 days and 1 night. Meaning it's a question. Or is it for a day or night, like the korban pesach? So it says by Yom Harishan Lebaikar, that's talking about the second morning. Or does it mean the first morning? What is it, and what are you going to say when it says that chagiga can be eaten for 2 days and 1 night like any other korban shlomim? Chutz mizu, obviously would have to be excluding this chagiga. So the Gemara says, Kishu Omer, boy, it says, it's Kishu Omer boy, I'm sorry, what it says in it, Im neder oy nedava. Now those are for sure. Im neder nedava, limit chagigas yidal shenachels lebeiz yom l'laylecha. A neder nedava for sure gets 2 days and a night. So it must be that it's coming to show you that the chagiga would also have that. So those are the two tzadim, whether it's 2 days, 1 night, or 1 night, 1 day, 1 night. Now, Amar, so Gemara says, Amar, or is it only for the first day? Didn't you say that it's the second day? So why all of a sudden are you worried that maybe it's the first day? No. So this is what he's saying. This is what the Gemara really is saying. Maybe the pasuk's referring to 2 different korban chagigas. Achas chagigas yudalid. One is the chagigas yudalid. V'achas chagigas tesvav. And one is the chagigas tesvav. V'zula b'ikra. And each one gets its own morning. Meaning the one that comes on yudalid only gets to the first day in the morning. And the one that's for on Tesvav gets two days. Hadar Amar, but then he goes back and he says, right? The Gemara answers, Elo the Kaimelon Chagiga Hanachelas Shnei V'Layla Echad, that the Chagiga that's eaten for 2 days and 1 night, Im Kain, Im Nadar and a Dava B'mai. Then what is Nadar and a Dava? What kind of korban is that talking about? If it's talking about a Chagiga of Yudalid, it already says there, Yom V'Layla. Chagigas Tezvav Haksiba Yom V'Layla. It also in Chagigas Tezvav Haksiba Yom V'Layla. It also says Yom V'Layla. Ella. So what must it mean? Hayla Chagigas Tezvav. It's talking about the Chagig of Tezvav. V'Heyach and the other one. Kulei Krol Chagigas Yudalid. That's the whole pasuk is talking about the Chagig of Yudalid. Limit Chagigas Yudalid Shalachez Shnei Yom V'Layla Echad. And that teaches us that Chagig of Yudalid gets 2 days and 1 night. Okay, so now, so that's basically the tut stadim of why or when the Chagigas will get 2 days and 1 night or 1 day and 1 night. So now the Gemara says, Taima diksib b'yom harishon lebiker. The reason is because it says on the first day in the morning. The my biker, right? Which biker is referring to? Biker sheni. To the second warning, Hakol Heichel Dichsib Biker Stama Biker Rishon. Mashma. Meaning it says Biker Rishon. I'm sorry, B'Yom HaRishon Le Biker. That's Mashma. There, okay, this Biker is referring to the first day. Hakol Heichel Dichsib Biker Stama. That's Mashma, that if it just says the word Biker, Biker Rishon, it says Biker Rishon. Ba'afagav the like Sib Reishis, even though it doesn't say Reishis. Right? So therefore, we learn out from this that there's nothing really much, that you don't need the word rachis to tell you that it's the first morning. You would know that anyways. Okay, that was not an easy piece of Gemara right there. But again, if we would learn all the psukim and do it correctly, then I think it might be a little easier. Okay, Zog the Mishnah, yeah? What are you saying?
Is the smichus a hekesh or a gzeira shavah?
I don't think it's Xera Shava. I don't know if it's a Hekish. I don't think it's Xera Shava.
It's one or the other. I can't remember which one. It's not a gzeira shavah. It's a hekesh, and you can make it yourself. So you don't need to make a smichus.
Right. No. Okay.
And it could
Fair
just
enough.
fall off. If it was a gzeira shavah, you'd have a kasha with it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. So Zok the Mishnah. Yeah. HaPesach sheshachtu shaloi l'shmoi b'Shabbos. This is a very lumdish Mishnah here. This Mishnah with the next Gemara gets into a lot of lumdis as to somebody does something by mistake. Somebody does an Aveira, I guess you want to call it, an Aveira, but he's also doing a mitzvah at the same time, but he ends up doing the wrong mitzvah. Remember, we had it in Shabbos. If somebody's mal has 2 babies to give a milah to, one on Sunday and one on Shabbos, and by mistake he switches them, or Friday on Shabbos, and he by mistake switches them, so he was doing a mitzvah. So is that a problem? Is it not a problem? Is he chayev? Is he not chayev? Because he was lemaisa doing a mitzvah. So it's going to be the same type of situation here. So Pesach sheshachtu shaloi l'shmoi b'Shabbos. If you shechted the korban Pesach shaloi l'shmoi on Shabbos, chayev alav chatas, then you're chayev a chatas. So meaning that's basically a korban Pesach, and you didn't chap that you thought you were doing a shlamim or whatever it is on Shabbos, then you're going to be chayev chatas. Obviously, it was a mistake, which is why you're chayev chatas. If it wasn't a mistake, then there would be misa or chorus. Right? But let's say I take a oila or a shlamim or whatever it is, and I decide to shech that l'shem the korban pesach. Im eina ruyin chayev. If it's a type of korban that's not right to be a korban pesach, then you're going to be chayev because it wasn't even in the whole parsha of being mechal Shabbos for the korban pesach. Im ruyin hein. But let's say they are right, and this is the major Machlokes in the Mishna. Again, you took a korban that was meant to be a shlamim, but it was, let's say, it was a keves that was less than a year old. So it theoretically could have been a korban pesach. You just happened to have been makar of a shlamim instead of a korban pesach, right? So
But you had in mind to make it.
you did it. No, it was you did it in mind for a korban pesach, right? But it wasn't a korban pesach. It was a shlamim that you decided to give because instead of making a kiddush for whatever, right? You decided to give him a shlamim, and then by mistake you wrote as a korban pesach. So that animal was not supposed to be shechted on Shabbos, but you did it anyways because you did it for the Korban Pesach, right? So that's a Machlokes. Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shua. Rabbi Eliezer mechayev chatas. Rabbi Eliezer says no, you chayev chatas. Lamaisa, you weren't allowed to shech this animal on Shabbos, and you did it. Rabbi Shua paiter. Rabbi Shua says it's potter. And now we have a back and forth between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shua. Again, like we had before. So Amalei Rabbi Eliezer ma'im a pesach shu mutter l'shmoi. A Korban Pesach is mutter to be makar on Shabbos when you do it l'shmoi. Kishashina eshemoi, when you change its name, chayev, right? Meaning if you brought it, instead of bringing it as a Korban Pesach, you brought it as a shlomim, you're going to be chayev, right? Zvachim, so Korbanos shein asurin l'shmon. You can't bring a Korban shlomim on Shabbos, and it's also Kishashina Shimon, and when you change that name for it, ein edin sheyeh chayev, of course you're going to be chayev. Meaning he's saying a Korban Pesach that you changed its name, you're chayev. So zvachim that it's osur to bring, and you change its name, then about you're going to be chayev. So Rabbi Yeshua, loy, no, it's not true. Imam Pesach sheshineu b'davar osur. By the Korban Pesach, you changed it from something that's mutter, which was the Korban Pesach, and you changed it to something that's osur, which is a shlomim. Tamer bezvachim sheshinon b'davar mutter, but the zvachim you changed it to something's mutter. Meaning, if you took a Korban Pesach and brought it as a shlomim, so that was something that's osur to bring on Shabbos. But if you took a zvachim, a regular Korban, and you moved it up to a Pesach, so then you were doing something that's mutter. That's Rabbi Yeshua's kind of act.
Pesach, are you?
You're not going to be Yotze Pesach. No, but at least you changed it to something that's mutter. Some Rabbi Eliezer says, Emurei tzibur yechichu, the emurim of the tzibur, right? A Korban tzibur is going to prove it. Shein mutaron l'shmon. They're mutter if you're going to do it l'shmon. You makriv it on Shabbos. But l'shmon chayev. But if somebody shechts it, other Korbanos, right? For if other Korbanos that weren't meant to be, then you're going to be chayev. So Amar Rabbi Shua loy imar be'emurei tzibur sheyesh lehem kitzvah. Emurei tzibur has a certain set amount. I mean, you could only bring a certain amount to Korbanos tzibur. Tamer Pesach she'ein loy kitzvah. Korban Pesach does not have a set amount. Fine. That's a Machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shua. Meir says a different shot. He says even somebody who shechts a Korban for a emurei tzibur, right? Meaning he's chaylek on Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. If you make a mistake and you bring a different Korban as a Korban tzibur, you're going to be potter, right? Why? Because he made a mistake when he's doing a mitzvah. Rashi says he's done a mistake when doing a mitzvah. That's not a problem. Which we'll see in the Gemara tomorrow, Hashem, all this whole sugya. Fine. Shachtu shalayla oichlav, now a new case. Shachtu shalayla oichlav v'shalayla menuyav. Let's say you shechted it on Shabbos for people that can't eat it, like we said, either elderly people or sick people, v'shalayla menuyav, or people that weren't part of your chabura. La reilim, if you shechted it on behalf of people that didn't have a bris, ula tmein chayev, you're chayev, which is pashut, right? Because you're shechting on Pesach, you're shechting on Shabbos, the Korban Pesach, that's passul. La'oichlav v'shaloi la'oichlav, but it's meant for people that eat and for people that didn't eat. L'menuyav v'shaloi l'menuyav, people that were part of your chabur and people that were not part. L'mulin, for people that had a bris, ula reilim and fareilim, meaning there was mixtures of both, right? Which we had last week. L'tmein ulu tahirin, or there's tmein and tahirin on that same Korban. Then you're potter. Why? Because the Korban Pesach is kosher, right? Which the Gemara is going to ask. It's pasha. What are you saying? What's the chiddush? Of course, if the Korban Pesach is kosher, what's wrong with shechting on Shabbos? Shachtu v'nimtza balmum. Oh, so this last tin also is very interesting. So this is you shechted the animal and and you found it to be a balmum. So that means the Pesach is passul. So it means you machal Shabbos for a Korban that's passul. So you're chayev achatas. Why? Because a balmum you should be able to see. You didn't correctly do your due diligence in order to check out the animal to see if it's a mum. Because a mum is external. It's external. You should be able to see it. Shachtu v'nimtza treifa. But if you shechted the Korban Pesach and then you found it to be treif, which is internal, right? Treifa b'seiser. If you see it's internal, what are you supposed to do about it? You're an einus. How are you supposed to know that it was treif? So you're going to be potter. Shachtu v'noida shemoshchu abalam es yadam. Let's say you shechted it and you knew that the bailim took their hands off of it, meaning you have up until the shechita to back out of the chabura. Right? Let's say you said, "Oh, I'm going to be part of your chabur of Korban Pesach." Up until the shechita, you could back out. So let's say this guy knew everybody backed out, and he shechted it anyways, right? Oisha Mesu, or the people that asked him to shech the korban for him died. Oisha Nitmor, they became Tommy Potter. Why? When he shechted it, he did it with rishus. Right? He didn't know that these people died. He didn't know these people became tummy. He didn't know that they backed out. They're allowed to back out, but he didn't know anything. So therefore, since he shafted it b'rishus, therefore he's okay. All right, so we'll chazir this Mishnah quickly tomorrow before the daf, and then we'll see. All right, pretty quick. A good enough, everybody. Hope it was semi-understandable. It was not an easy daf. Yeah. All right. Sag is on.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Yaakov.
Yeah.
Can I call you now?
I got somebody calling me in 3 minutes, but yeah. Well, that's 3 minutes. I mean, the guy might not call, but he's supposed to.
All right, I'm calling now.
All right.
Thanks.